This presentation demonstrates how to post from the T accounts to the trial balance. To recap, initially in the bookkeeping process we got our source documents and entered them in daybooks. The procedure was writing up the daybooks. When all the source documents were entered for a particular period, we totaled that daybook and cross-totaled the daybook so that the total analysis columns equaled the total column. We then had to determine which values were regarded as debit and credit values. When this was done, we posted two T accounts using the duality rule where every debit equals a credit. The next step is to balance and close these T accounts and determine which side actually has that balance that is carried down to the beginning of the next period. For the trial balance, we need to collect these balances and transfer them to an account called a trial balance. We started off by entering source documents into the purchases daybook. When we totaled the total column, we have already established that this should agree to the total of the analysis columns. We then had to determine, using the debit and credit synopsis, what were debit postings, what were credit postings. We then suggested the best way would be to actually write down at the bottom of each of these columns which were debit postings and which were credit postings. In the case of the purchases daybook involved the purchase of items for resale or expenses. Purchases, expenses are debit postings on the T account. Therefore, the total would be creditors. So we will collect the actual values here, 520506. We know it's a credit posting, and this is going to be posted to a T account called creditors. Go to the T accounts, and the first account we have is creditors. Set it up, and on the credit side, we put in the date of the daybook, the source daybook, purchases daybook, and the value 520506. When that has been done, go back and signify that it actually has been posted. P for posted, or just do a tick beside it. The next column is the VAT, and the value has a debit posting, debit VAT 90335. Again, back to the T accounts, go on to a new account, VAT, and on the debit side, 30th of September, the value is coming from the purchases daybook, 90335. Again, mark that as being posted and go on to the next one. The next one is repairs, €370, and it's a debit value posting. Back to your T accounts, create a new account called repairs, and the information is on the 30th of September, from the purchases daybook, we had a value of €370. Again, mark that as being posted. Follow the sequence for all the analysis columns, again going by which is debit postings, then go through each of the respective daybooks and post each of these to their T accounts. When that has been done, you will see, for example, in the creditors, we have postings already done from the purchases daybook, purchases from the check payments book, and from the purchases returns daybook. Once everything has been posted for that particular period and all daybooks have been cross-checked and entered as being posted, it is now time to balance the T accounts and determine which side has the highest value and insert a difference onto the side to make that difference equal the balance of both sides of the T account. In this case, the credit side is the highest, 5205, so we have to establish what the balance is to make the debit side equal to the credit side, and in this case the balance is €2825.49. We insert the date And this is the figure that's going to be carried down to the beginning of the next period. To finish this off, this figure will appear on the credit side of this T account. Balance BD 2825. $2825.49. Again, we now look at the T account of the VAT account, and we will have to establish which side requires the actual balance to make both sides equal, determine which side it is, and insert the balance CD, and carry that figure down to the beginning of the next period. Closing the repairs account, we have two entries: purchases daybook, purchase returns daybook. Determine which side is the biggest, determine what the difference is, and insert that on the side to make both sides balance. And again, carry that figure down to the beginning of the next period. Similarly with the purchases account, there was a posting from the purchases daybook. Determine which side, and this side is obviously the credit side. So on the credit side we'll have a balance carried down 1414. We will see that that figure is now brought down to the start of the next period. Again, we will see this with the website and the telephone account, one posting, and we will see the balance will be on the credit side, and again carried down. So once that has been done, again you'll go through all the T accounts, close each T account, determine which balances have to be carried down, that is the difference. This is the opening balance at the start of the next period. The next stage now is to go to the trial balance, and the trial balance is an account which we will collect all these balances and put them either onto the debit side or the credit side, and again give it a name so we know which account it is coming from. If we go back to the first T account, and we'll see that it's creditors. So we go to our trial balance and put in the name creditors so we can actually see that that is actually coming from there. So it's again, I'll just type that in, creditors. Now, when we're at the T account, we have to decide which amount goes over to the trial balance. What in theory we're doing is collecting the balances, and again using the duality rule. If the balance is on the debit side of the T account, it has to be posted using the duality rule to the credit side of the trial balance. So again, this figure here, 2825, will be a credit posting in the trial balance. Just figure out what that is. It's 2825.49. Once that has been done, we go to the next T account, and we'll see that the account is VAT, and the figure to make this T account balance was on the debit side. So using the duality rule, this figure will be collected from the T account and posted to the trial balance on the credit side. So back to the VAT trial balance, VAT, and it's a credit of 1314.95. Back to your T account. The next account is repairs. The balance figure on this T account is on the credit, so using the duality rule, it will be a debit posting in the trial balance. Repairs, debit 315. The next account, go back to our T accounts, purchases. The balancing figure on this T account is under credit, so therefore, using the duality rule, it will be a debit. So it's purchases, debit 1414. The next account is the website, and the balance is on the credit side, so it'll be a debit posting. And it's 1354. And the next account is the telephone. The balancing figure on the T account is on the credit side, so therefore using the duality rule, it will be a debit posting in the trial balance. And the figure is 242.33. Once you have all the accounts collected from the T accounts, you will see that it will build up, that you will have debit postings and credit postings depending on which T account it is. When all T accounts have been posted, in theory, the total of the debit side should equal the total of the credit side, and that will concur with the theory that your account balances, and this is proof that each T account has been balanced and closed correctly. So we will now calculate the total of all the debit side values. And we will also create and calculate the total of all the credit values. And we will see that the total of the debit balances equals the total of the credit balances, and this will confirm that your postings and your bookkeeping process is in a correct procedure. This is where we demonstrated how to collect balances and transfer these to the trial balance.